I'd like to call this regular meeting, the Oscoda Township Board for June 12th to order. We start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Cummings? Here. Ms. McGuire?
Here.
Mr. Spencer?
Here.
Mr. Taser?
Here.
Mr. Sutton here. Mr. Wusterbarth?
Present.
Mr. Palmer?
Here. Next is agenda additions, or approval of agenda or additions. I have one item that I would like to add under other. It has to do with the 4th of July picnic. Are there any other items?
Yes, Mr. Palmer, I have one. With you obtaining the role of supervisor, we need to appoint another board member to the utility subcommittee.
Okay, so we can put that under other for utility ordinance committee. Okay.
And I had a request. I saw under the informational that there were these pictures from Township Hall regarding the, I don't know, the way that things are looking. And I wondered if we could just get a little bit of narrative behind it. I don't know from whom, but that's the question. Just see pictures, but there's no narrative with it, and I don't know what the pictures are supposed to mean to me.
Perhaps under the superintendent report, we could make that
Have you
happen.
had that? Well, thank you.
So we have two agenda item additions. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
Support. We have a motion for Mr. Cummings, support by Mr. Spencer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings? Yes. Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wusterbarth?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Motion passed. Next up is public comment. You'll have 4 minutes to speak. You need to fill out a card. This has to do with any comments on anything on the agenda for this evening. Do we have cards? Nope, no cards? Okay. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. We have the regular meeting minutes from May 22nd. Does anybody have, I believe Mr. Sutton sent out some corrections on that. Did everybody receive those?
Yep.
A chance to look at them?
Yep.
Any questions on that? On to the payment of bills for a total of $329,418.79. We have the prepaid for June 13th of $261,254.62. Any questions on that?
I don't know if it's in this section, but I did see an expenditure of $500 and change for the, quote, old Vector truck. Are we still buying parts for the old Vector truck?
Yes.
Why? Didn't we just get a new one?
Yeah, we still use that one for a lot of the damaging stuff. The new one doesn't get used for jetting and a few other things, just because we don't.
So we're just gonna keep them both then?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
We seem to have a lot of use for Vector trucks here.
Yes, yes, we do.
It's a big sewer system.
Any other questions on the payment of bills? We did have a finance meeting this morning with myself, Ms. McGuire, and Mr. Sutton, and Ms. Klein to go over some of the financial dealings. Any other questions on the Cedar Lake Improvement Board payments? Mr. Wusterbarth, you're on that board. Do you have any comments on that?
No. not at this time.
Okay. Well, if there are no other comments, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Ms. McGuire. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes. Motion is approved. No subcommittee reports this evening. Next, we have the superintendent's report. First up is the Old Orchard sublease.
Contains a sublease agreement between the Charter Township of Oscoda and the Iosco Exploration Trail. This agreement authorizes the IET to install 2 storage containers in order to house equipment used to improve and maintain the Wildcat Mountain Bike Trail, which runs to, through, and along Old Orchard Park. The agreement has been reviewed and approved by the township's attorney and requires board approval.
Any questions, concerns?
Storage containers, huh?
Yes.
In lieu of shed?
Yes.
Probably quite a bit less expensive to throw a couple containers out there than it is to build a shed, huh?
Definitely. And Consumers has been all through this sublease agreement as well.
Whose responsibility is it to maintain those storage units?
It would be the Wildcat Mountain Bike Trail people. And there is no rental fee due after discussion with Lisa, the attorney. The in-kind that we receive by not charging them rent is them keeping and maintaining that trail. So that's how we can do that.
Where are they gonna put them?
They are going to be back where the house used to be. I don't know where that is. But
Where the house used to be?
there's used to be an old house
For the
back
haunted
there.
house, one of the old base houses, about a half mile up from the main entrance, there's another gate there.
Yeah.
Cool. That way they'll be able to take the equipment right out of there, get to the trails and get everything maintained.
Yeah, just for information, the Wildcat Trail people joined the IET because they're not a 501c3 entity in themselves. So they have been working with the IET committee, and they're working on this Wildcat Trail for mountain bikes. And they've been doing a lot of work on this trail, and they have a lot of equipment, and they need someplace to store it. So came to this agreement to get a couple of containers, and they needed to have permission from both the township and Consumers Power to place them on the Old Orchard Park site. So that's what this agreement entails. Any other questions, concerns? Can I get a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the township supervisor to execute the sublease agreement with the Iosco Exploration Trail.
Is there support?
I'll support that.
Motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Spencer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the request for police vehicle purchase.
All right. Your packet contains a request from Chief David to purchase a 2023 Chevy Tahoe in the amount of $40,889. This vehicle was budgeted in the capital improvement for 2023 in the amount of $44,000. Now, if you look at Chief David's memo, the reason we don't have to get several quotes is because they are a My Deal participant, which guarantees the state low price.
I see.
And vehicles, again, are very difficult to come by.
Yep.
I think this is rather unusual that they actually had one sitting on their lot. Is that,
Well, a different entity could not get their funding together for this one.
Right.
That's why it's available.
otherwise, we normally have to wait quite a long time to get these vehicles,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, it was about a year last time.
Yeah, I think it was over a year. And what is our schedule? We replaced one vehicle one year and two vehicles the next year? Is that our
Yes.
schedule? Okay. So this is the year for one vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the purchase of the 2023 Chevy Tahoe in the amount of $40,889.
Support Sutton?
Motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Teaser?
Yes.
Mr. Wishtabarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next up is the Iosco Exploration Trail invoice.
The township, through the road commission, received a TAP grant for roughly $2 million for the Iosco Exploration Trail project. This grant requires an 80-20 split, with 20% being a local match. Your packet contains a third invoice from the road commission for the township's local match portion in the amount of $18,150.31. I would ask that the board approve the payment of $18,150.31 to the Iosco County Road Commission to be paid from 101-751-880.572.
Questions, concerns, comments? This is part of the TAP funding that money we get from, that's administered by MDOT and the Road Commission. It's a 20% match. I will make a motion to approve the payment of $18,150.31 to the Iosco County Road Commission for Phase 3 of the IET bike path to be paid from Fund 101-751-880.572.
Support Sutton?
Motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wishtabarth?
Yes.
Mr. Teaser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next up is the Mission Street cured in place lining bid results.
Okay. Your packet contains the bid results from the Mission Street slip lining RFP. As you can see from the email presented from Mr. Freeman, the recommended winning bid should be Pipeline Management Company in the amount of $111,467. I would ask that the board accept the recommendation from Mr. Freeman and award the Mission Street cured in place lining project to Pipeline Management Company.
Questions, comments?
This is going to be reimbursed by the Air Force?
We're-
Paid for by them.
We're currently waiting on the ASCA agreement, and that will then, once we get that, that will go to Lisa, and she will do what she does. And the only thing that we need right now is approval from the board, so we have a dollar amount to add into that agreement. And that agreement will come back to the board for approval, and they will just pay. We won't have to reimburse.
Nice.
Any other questions, comments? This is a long time coming. I'm grateful that the Air Force has stepped up to do this slip lining. I'm hoping they will step up and slip line the other storm sewer line that they're using.
Yep.
Is there a motion?
Well, do we need to make a motion? Because we're not actually going to expend the funds, right? Air Force is going to reimburse. We're just going to approve the contract when we get it in a few weeks, month?
We have to approve this contract for them.
Bid results.
For the award, to award it to Mission Street, strip lining for, what's the company? Pipeline Management Company.
All right, then I move that we approve Mr. Freeman's recommendation to award the Mission Street cured in place lining project to Pipeline Management Company.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Cummings, support by Ms. McGuire. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next, we have the
Excuse me.
DPW Director salary proposal.
And that is just to change over our DPW director to a salary position in the amount of $60,000. Currently, it is the last director position that's still paid hourly.
Any comments?
Just historically,
Questions?
I'm just wondering what caused it to be treated that way all this time? When you say it's the last one to be converted over, why was it left over? No idea? Don't know, I got it. Okay. I just wanted to.
Just trying to get some uniformity here in our pay schedule where all the
Yeah.
directors are paid salary.
Right.
Were all the director positions individually changed to this, or were they all, they were all changed at once, and then this one was just left out?
They've been changed over time, and this one was just the only one that's not now. He's the odd man out. Everybody's on salary but him.
That's what happens when you work for the township for 51 years.
What are his thoughts on it? Is he happy with it? Is he excited about it?
Yeah,
or
both
is he-
myself and Ms. Klein talked with him about it, and he wants it.
And he no longer gets step increases, he only gets the COLA, 2% every year. So he's hit the top of the scale,
Right.
so.
I'm surprised he hasn't been salary all along since, especially DPW, because he can get called at 6 o'clock at night.
He
He's the
does
guy
get
that
called at
responds,
6, he does
yeah.
get called at 6 o'clock at night on
So
the
you-
weekends.
How do you keep track of his hours as it is? I mean, it's,
Yeah.
That
he's
was,
on call all the time, and
that was his happiness when we reached out to him about it, is he's had that, like, what do I do? Because I've seen him. Opening day of baseball fields, he was there for 2 hours doing toilet paper, making sure everybody had everything. I mean, he's always out and about 7 days a week, so how do you account for that all the time? So like the other directors, that way, if he's on that salary, that accounts for any time he has to go out.
good move.
So do I have a motion?
I would make a motion to approve my recommendation to change the DPW director to salary in the amount of $60,000.
Support, Cummings.
We have a motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the, under resolutions, this is chapter 20 of the Traffic and Vehicles, Article 4, Bicycle Code of the Code of Ordinance Amendment. Are there any questions or comments about this? This is, as you know, we have the Code of Ordinances, which is generally what the police department uses. Just some revisions in that section of it. Any questions, comments? Ms. Follett, do you have any comments on this?
We just made a few changes to this. We added e-bike into this ordinance because they're becoming popular. But the main driving force for changing this is bicycle path was very defined as far as where the bicycle path is at. With the new Phase 3 trail that's going in, we wanted it to encompass all parts of all bicycle paths. So we're leaving it kind of a little more vague instead of defining it to where it says Evergreen Street and F41 and that, because additional phases will eventually be added.
I notice under section 3147, or I'm sorry, just above that, in the, it says motor vehicle means automobiles, trucks, motorcycles, mopeds, and all other vehicles propelled by other than muscular power. Those e-bikes are not propelled by only muscular power, so does this mean that the ordinance is in contradiction with itself?
So
Sorry, not
these
trying to rain on your
definitions, I know
parade.
you always throw me off with your questions. These definitions came from our professional planner, and we had sent him one version, and everything that we put in it, he changed. So these are all coming right from him. And we were just gonna allow class 1 and class 2, but he plugged class 3 in as well.
Right on, so, I mean, but the e-bike
Right.
means a bicycle with a seat, pedals, and an electric motor, but then right below that, it prohibits it. That's my
No.
question.
The e-bikes are propelled, you pedal the bikes, that charges the charge, so it is.
But that's not what it
pedal
says, it says,
But
other
under the
than
state-
muscular power.
I understand that, but under the state definition for an e-bike on bike paths, if you go on to that, they allow e-bikes on bike paths for that definition.
I'm okay with that, I just think that the ordinance should represent that. I mean, the way that I'm reading this, in normal grammar, that says that if it's propelled by anything other than muscular power, it's prohibited, period. I don't know what the state can say yes, but our ordinance says no. That sounds like it's setting us up for a fight. That's just me.
This has been approved by the state on the definitions for the bike paths.
But the question is, does it read that way?
Right.
Not-
Pardon me?
The question is, does it read that way? That's the question.
Well, this is the way it is written in other ordinances from our professional planner that has written it, so.
Can you point out the sentence you're exactly referring to?
Yeah, it's right.
Is it class 3?
Right underneath the.
Is it class 3? The one that's right under
Yeah,
class 3?
the one that wasn't changed.
Right.
So it says Section C, e-bike, a Class 3, also known as a speed pedal-assisted e-bikes, et cetera, et cetera. And then the very next line under that is the motor vehicles means, I mean, it's defining motor vehicle, that is any vehicle propelled other than muscular power.
Okay, so this is just the first read still, and we will be bringing it back for another read. So between now and then, we can look into that and make sure that it's not contradicting itself.
Yeah, if I can just add in an opinion here. If you start at the top and you see the e-definition means, the e-bike means, and you have the 3 classes, below that, when you're pointing to the paragraph you're referring to, it says motor vehicle means automobiles, trucks, motorcycles, mopeds, and all other vehicles, meaning it's the else. What has already been stated above gets to be its own exception.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah,
That's
because
not the
all
way,
other-
that's not the way it reads to me, though.
Under-
Because it's, I mean, all other vehicles propelled by other than muscular power. That just sounds to me like,
Under the Michigan electric bicycle law for the road, electric bicycles are regulated like bicycles. The same rules of the road apply to both electric bicycles and human-powered bicycles.
awesome. Is there a motor on an electric bicycle?
I'm reading what the
I know,
state
but
law is.
is there a motor on the electric bicycle?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just
I'll
reading.
leave it to your interpretation. It's fine. I'll let Nicole look it up, and if that's the way it comes back, that's the way it comes back. I'm just saying.
I am still waiting on final feedback from our attorney regarding the ordinance, so I think we'll just, okay.
Yeah.
She just
Just
said
ask him.
So
evidently she's not going to review it.
Sorry, not trying to be a
but
stickler, but that's what it says.
this is
planner
just the first read, right?
It's
So
the first read. Yep.
We'll be covering this again
Yep.
at a subsequent meeting.
I'll be back.
We'll be back.
We'll see you there.
And we'll get some clarification on,
Yes.
because I understand Mr. Spencer's confusion here.
I just don't want to set us up for irritation in the future.
Right, I don't think we are, but
Right? Yeah.
I'll triple check.
Okay. Next is resolution And we had to make a change in this. What was in the agenda was number 12. It should actually be number 13. So it's Resolution 2023-13, having to do with our Natural Resources Spark Grant. Any questions, comments? I think we need a resolution in order to apply for this
Yes.
grant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I would move to approve resolution number 2023-13, the resolution in support of application for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Spark Grant.
Support Cummings.
A motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Teaser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbar?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
So we skipped over I wasn't sure where we decided we were going to add the informational narrative about the Township Hall pictures.
Oh, I'm
Is that going to be
sorry,
at the
yes.
end of, okay, good.
I didn't write that down. After you mentioned it, we'll break right here and let Ms. Klein explain what
Thank
the
you.
pictures in the packet are for.
Okay, so, and not all the pictures are there, which I'm kind of disappointed. It started last year with downtown beautification. They had volunteered to come in and clean up our flower beds in the front and in the back. We had started on the front, didn't get it all the way finished, but got quite a bit done. And through my classes that I'm currently taking in the customer service section, one of our pieces of homework was to take pictures of our entrances to our buildings. And we all got to discuss what we liked and what we didn't like. And ours did not do too well from the back, we'll just say that. So there were some recommendations given. So when I came back from that class, when it got warm enough, I had requested that the township hall be power washed because it had not been power washed in many, many years. Even right down to cleaning out the gutters, which have not been cleaned out in a very long time. So we started there. The DPW crew did some acid washing to get the rust off the front of the building. I had a sign made for the rear entrance because on the back of Township Hall, you see nothing. It doesn't say our hours, that it's even the Township Hall entrance. We have one at the police department, but not on Township Hall. So, and that's part of, making it more customer friendly is by, I actually, just before the sign got put up, watched a woman apparently the boiler room was unlocked, and she walked in, you could see her carrying her water bill, walked right into that room and slammed the door like, why did I go in here? So we had the sidewalk redone for ADA compliance. So we actually had somebody trip and fall in the spring right on her face because the sidewalk was like this in a lot of places. So we got that fixed and a wider entry. So if there is someone in a wheelchair, it will be accessible that way much easier. And I'm currently waiting on a quote for the push button to open the door.
All right.
So we actually got the garage door painted too back there. That's no longer.
I was going to say, that was actually cool. Did people like that? Because in the picture, it looks,
I know,
it's a-
that was our last component there.
Okay, got it.
So it looks really, really nice. I'm proud of everything DPW did.
Yeah.
They finished up the river stone in the back. It just looks really nice.
They do good work.
Yes.
Yeah, and we were in desperate need of having that sidewalk replaced for a while, so it looks very nice there on Township Hall. Thank you. Thank you.
I like the trash can, I think it's a trash can, just to the side of the door.
That's going to be moved.
Is it a trash can or a
Yes.
cigarette thing?
No, it's a trash can. You're talking about the square?
Yes, it looks
Yes.
square, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it looked like the cigarette repository is to the left in the old picture. And so it looked like this one was nicer looking is the point.
Well, there's still one there. It's on the other side of the trash can.
Oh, I see, I couldn't see
I
that.
think it got moved there.
Oh, I see, okay. Looked like a shadow. I get it, I see. Well, yeah, it does, and I think when it grows in, it'll look phenomenal. And I was a big fan of the flowers before, but this is, I can see where we're going. Thank you.
Looks beautiful. You're welcome.
Okay. Next is our first right of refusal for tax foreclosed properties.
This is our annual first round of foreclosed properties that the township is given opportunity if we like to take any of those.
I think we go through this every year, don't we? And
Yes, and
We
there's a
generally-
second round that will come later in the fall.
we generally decline
Yes.
any of these properties.
Well, I think we decline all the ones in Lakewood Shores for sure, but there's some other properties on here this year. Would any of them behoove the township to own in the future?
Ms. McGuire, you want to?
What was the question?
So last year when we did this, I think there was only one property that wasn't in Lakewood Shores. I could be wrong.
There's
That was-
others on here that are
Right.
not.
And there's more than, there's a bunch of them on here that are not in Lakewood Shores. They're not
Correct.
part of the, and, you know, like Chippewa Heights sublot, the Interlake Part sublot 70. Would any of those properties, if they're coming up for, you know, for foreclosure or tax sale, or would any of those benefit the township to have in any way, shape, or form?
I kind of skimmed them and I wouldn't think so.
I did too. I don't know where they are. I don't know. I don't have addresses on them.
There's
so
only
I'm kinda-
three. I don't,
Well, there's the two at the top, and then there were a couple down at the bottom, or the
Just
weird.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just that weird Woodlands lot.
Weird Woodlands.
So
Yeah, there's two that are houses and I don't think we want to get into that.
no, but sometimes there's oh, that corner lot with nothing built on it is it's up. Oh, we could really I just figured I'd ask.
I kind of skimmed them. I didn't see anything that would be,
Good enough. I didn't see anything either. I just figured I'd ask.
no problem.
any other questions, comments? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we return an email saying that, or return the form saying that we are declining the properties.
Support, Cummings.
Who supports?
We'll give that to Cummings, he beat me.
Who supported the motion?
Cummings.
Tim? Okay. We have a motion by Ms. McGuire, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is credit limit increase request. I'll turn this over to Ms. McGuire, if that's okay. She's
Sure.
been working on this.
So this is a first for us. We actually had a problem with our credit cards because different people were using them and everybody's card was getting declined and we couldn't figure out why. So Shelley came to ask me if she could use mine and I knew I hadn't used my limit. And I said, absolutely. She took it, came back and said it was declined. So I was on the phone with Huron Community Bank and where we have our credit cards through. And if you notice, the first attachment is what I sent to them when we were having new cards and changing the credit limits for everybody. And that amount adds up to $21,000. So I found out, talking to them, that our total credit limit was only $10,500, which if we had established these card limits back in 2020, why would our limit only be $10,500?
Right.
So, long story short, I would like to submit so that our credit limit is where it should be and get that taken care of.
And do you also think that, are there more people that simply need to have a card? It seems like, is it really convenient and safe to be handing cards out to different people for different purposes?
I would like to not hand any more out than that already are out.
Okay, got it. So using the ones that
I'm
are
a
out
little
there.
uncomfortable with that many already, so no, I would like to leave it where it's at.
Okay.
Does each card have its own individual spend limit?
Yes.
It does, that's what she's pointing
Yeah.
out.
That was the
well,
first
sometime-
attachment.
yeah, okay,
It was just too low.
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
So in the packet here, it lists Mr. Nordine, Mr. Schaefer. That would simply be the clerk and the superintendent, right?
Correct, yes.
So this was just an example.
Yeah, I
that
just wanted to
she's
see
using.
that, yes, I did change it, so it should have been for the 21,000, but it was still at the 10.5, so, yeah.
It's a different form you have to fill out.
I could show you that form too, but, yeah.
So do you need a motion to approve your request for the credit limit?
Yes,
move-
please.
Yes.
I would move to approve the credit limit increase request to $21,000 to encompass all the cards on the account.
Support, Sutton?
Now, will it suffice to take this motion to the bank to show them, or should it be a resolution?
As long as I have the minutes, when the minutes
Okay.
are finished, I'll take that and I'll send
Okay.
it to them. Yeah.
All right. Roll call. We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wusterbark?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is Babe, the Big Blue Ox Revisited. This was on our last agenda. I've had further discussions with Mrs. Rattay. We've increased the size. She was kind enough to make a model of what he will look like.
Oh, I see.
See this?
I see, I do.
And I think I'll leave this here for every board meeting so we can say there's no bull here.
Well, okay.
It's an ox.
It's an ox, that's right. Our, wow.
On a technicality.
Yes, we're not a technicality.
I think this would be very appropriate to add to Paul Bunyan. Ms. McGuire was giving me some information on Paul. Do you want to share that with?
Sure. Paul Bunyan, we actually got him. He was actually he was soft and pliable when they first got him, and we got him for free. Mary Jane Henniger was one of the board members back in the day, and she worked with a group of ladies and Bill Hamlin actually to make him more reinforced. And they actually took him to the Sawyer Canoe people when they were still here, and they dipped him in his first coat of resin for us for free. So Paul was an absolutely freebie that we got, that over the years we have just continually to make him stronger and more supported and keep repainting and taking care of him that way.
And I think since, Paul Bunyan, the creator of that, we're credited here in Oscoda with that. I think it's appropriate that a local artist here would build this for us and create it. And I see Ms. Rattay is in the audience. If you had any questions you'd like to ask her, she probably would be happy to answer or talk about her project.
Looks like she spelled it out pretty well in her document here.
Yeah.
For me, anyway. I mean, it looks relatively straightforward. We're going to build an ox out of wood and chicken wire and epoxy.
Yes.
And we're going to paint it to look cool, and it's going to be huge.
It's going to be approximately 7.5 feet high, 9.5 feet long, 4.5 feet wide, 11 feet head to farthest hind leg. And she will be building this in the parking lot of the Artisan Hall. So people in the community can watch as the progress unfurls. I think it's a tremendous project. Normally when we're going to do a project, we go out for bids. I think it's appropriate, since she's approached us, and a local artist that would build this project, because this is something that's going to be here for a long time. And my understanding in talking to Ms. Rattay is that, she's been an artist pretty much her whole life. And I know it's a fair amount of money, but we are kind of focusing on art in our community, and this is probably about as good of an art project as we could come up with, I think, to add to Paul there. So, any other comments, questions?
And at any point, will you be able to utilize any volunteers for this?
Could you come up to the microphone, please?
In the notes that I gave you, Terry Long, he's an exhibiting artist at the hall. He's volunteering his time. And other artists have asked if they could get in on the project.
Cool.
And I'm sure as it moves forward, we can decide if they accept it, that there will be more scenes throughout.
Do you have any projects for people that aren't quite artistic like you?
Well, with my supervision, I think they could put the epoxy on the fiberglass cloth. I think that they could paint some of them, I think, with a little coaching, could even model some of the chicken wire. I telling them, you know, beef this up, need another little coat of wire here. And
Okay, cool.
yes.
How long do you think this will take you to complete?
Well, I proposed 640 hours. I've already put probably 70 hours into the model and the proposal. I think possibly a goal of September 1st would be ideal.
That would be.
That would be.
Well, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions, Rand?
No, it actually fits all of the questions I had from the last time it was brought forward, so I greatly appreciate you revamping Babe to this model, because I really do like this.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. With that, I would like to move to approve the commissioning of Babe the Blue Ox as presented by Ms. Ann Rataj, with $12,000 to be paid to start and the balance of $12,133 to be paid on completion. And what fund would we be taking this from? Or would we figure that out?
We have not figured that out. I didn't know if the board wanted to use some of the marijuana funds that we received that can be used.
That would be as good a one as any, I would think.
Okay, do you remember that GL number right off the top of your head?
I don't, but it's revenue, so we won't be able to use that anyways.
No, I mean,
Oh.
it's in the general fund though,
Yes,
correct?
correct. So it'd
Okay.
be in the general fund, yeah.
Yeah.
This also may qualify under that grant that I had mentioned from the Iosco County Parks Grant, if this would be considered a parks project. We may be able to apply for it for that.
So we can apply for that and see if we
I,
can.
you know, we could apply for it, see if it qualifies under that program. I know there's money sitting there for us.
Okay. So I'll just make the motion, the funds to come from either a grant or a general fund.
Yeah, we can figure that out.
Is there support?
I'll support that.
A motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Ms. McGuire. Roll call, please.
Mr. Teaser,
Yes.
Mr. Worcesterbart,
Yes.
Ms. McGuire,
Yes.
Mr. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes, Mr. Spencer,
Yes.
Mr. Palmer.
Yes. Motion passed. Ms. Rattay, we look forward to seeing Paul with his babe there, like, later this summer, hopefully. Next is we have an opening on the Planning Commission, an appointment. We have 3 applications here. I'd just like to say I'm encouraged that, you know, members of our community want to participate in our boards. That's greatly appreciated. There's only one opening, so we have to choose one of these applications. The one, Mr. O'Connor, he applied previously, and I've been told he's been serving on the Board of Review and has been doing an excellent job there, from what I understand. So I would like to move to appoint Timothy O'Connor to the Planning Commission with the term ending December 31st, 2024.
I support that, Cummings.
Motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Wusterbar?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
No.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, no. Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. I would point out also that we still have 2 openings on the senior center board. So we need to get our representation on that board. We get three members of the 5-member board are Oscoda residents. So perhaps a couple of these people would like to sit on that board. They don't meet quite as often, but it's a very important board to represent Oscoda Township for the senior center, which is actually located in Oscoda Township. Community Resource Officer assignment.
So we, the chief, myself, and Sergeant McNichol and Sergeant Gallagher all had interviews with Officer Simmons and Officer Klink for the community service officer position. That was ultimately awarded to Officer Klink, who has, I was gonna bring in copies, but I'll send you all, his list of events that he would like to get started for the community position. I think
And-
he'll be a great fit.
And can you remind us again, the community resource officer during the school years is assigned to the school?
Yes,
What is his function during the non-school time?
code compliance
Code compliance.
and road patrol as needed.
Any questions,
He
comments?
doesn't attend the summer school programs?
He's trying actually to come up with some programs for the summer for kids.
All right. I'm just asking, I just thinking putting an officer in the school, and then school's still going on, and we're gonna take the officer out of there for that 3 months. I just wondered why.
I don't know how much is going on at the summer.
Yeah, there's a low enrollment. There's not a lot of people there. Yeah.
Will this officer also be going at these events that are around? I noticed at the, such a truck there that there wasn't representation from our police department there.
Yes, if he is able to, he will be attending. I think he's got some scheduled breakfast with a cop at Burger King and Dudley's already.
Is he buying?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
So we'll see him in the community?
Yes.
Okay.
So is there a motion?
I was just gonna ask, do we need to approve this?
Yes.
All right.
Make a motion to approve Officer Robert Klink to be assigned to the position of School Resource/Community Service Officer for the Oscoda Township Police Department.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Sutton, support by Ms. McGuire. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Wusterbar?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the part-time library position. Ms. Savage has requested.
So in the memo from Ms. Savage, she is requesting the hiring of 2 seasonal part-times at the combined hourly being 25 hours a week. Right now, she's had to close several times due to illness, and it really can't be helped. So she's requesting that she be able to have 2 seasonal part-time. She can split up 25 hours between the 2 employees. And that way, if one gets sick, she'll have a backup for the other 3 that are working there.
Well, I had mentioned this morning that she's wanted to specify 10 hours for one and 15 for the other. I thought it would be a better idea to just have a motion where hire 2 people to use 25 hours. That gives her more flexibility in how she can use that between those 2 employees.
That's a good idea.
So, any questions, comments?
No, it's a good idea.
Concerns? So I will make a motion to approve hiring Shauna Fisher, and I apologize if I'm screwing this name up, Krystash, and Tracy Surbeck to fill the assistant librarian position as part-time seasonal assistant librarians, working a combination of 25 hours per week maximum at a rate of $14.71.
Support, Sutton?
I have a motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Sutton. Roll call, please.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wishbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is the MTA pass renewal.
So this is just our Michigan Townships Association annual dues that we pay for every year, just a renewal.
What's the legal defense fund contribution?
For legal services for us to utilize as well.
Don't
So
we
if
have
you
an
have a-
attorney for that?
You do, but you get, for a 2-hour rate, you can call their legal line for anything. So resolutions, tax, budgeting, anything that might be in there, MTA has basically sucked all that information in there so they can.
You know, I have to say that I do remember my first year on this board calling the MTA and asking them some legal questions. And the very first words out of their mouth were, "You can't go by what we say, but this is what we think."
Yeah.
And I was like, well,
It's a great tool to know if you call them and it's a situation where you do need to go to your attorney, then, but you might get an answer and it's part of that one-time payment versus an hourly payment to our attorneys.
the board likes it, okay.
Any other questions, concerns?
I do like the training, though, I have to say.
Yes.
The training is fantastic, so.
Yes.
Agreed.
MTA is a great organization, and I would encourage everyone to attend their spring conferences that they have every year. They're fantastic amount of training at those. I've attended several of them.
Or sign up for the lunch hour trainings, those are really nice too.
Yeah, those 1 hour at noon, now you know, those are,
It breaks down different parts of everything we do, so if you have a question in another office, it literally takes everything and breaks it down, so every week there's one that you can get in on.
I don't think I've
the
watched
one coming up is a webinar on who should contact the township attorney.
it. Man, if only we got that 2 years ago. Well, I'd make a motion to approve the MTA payment of $7,537.54 for our annual training package from account 101-299-882.000. If that's what that account number's for.
This isn't the training package, this is for our yearly dues.
The dues.
Oh, I'm sorry, so I thought, didn't it? just-
It's on there, but we pay that 2 months sooner from when we sign.
We've already
right there.
paid that.
Right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
I amend my motion to pay the annual dues payment for the MTA from the specified account in the amount of $7,537.54.
And support Cummings.
Sorry.
We have a motion by Mr. Spencer, support by Mr. Cummings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Wurschbarth?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. Next is something that I asked to be added to the agenda. I handed out a letter that I got on Saturday. I would have just turned this over to Mrs. Klein, Ms. Klein, because this is, they're not requesting any waiver of fees or anything from the township, and so Ms. Klein can, our superintendent, can approve these things, but since we're having the meeting tonight, I thought give a little more exposure. This is a 4th of July picnic that the Rotary and Lions Club combined to put on. This is their 9th year of providing this. They sell out every year 500 hot dogs. I don't have any idea how much pop and chips, things that go along with it. But it's just something that they have done for a number of years, and we've supported it. And so I wanted to just bring it to the board and get a formal approval.
So we're asking formal approval for Ms. Klein to approve it?
Well, she already-
From what I understand, if it's at the beach park, there doesn't need to be approval. Anybody can just use it whenever. So we're asking for formal approval to approve the approval process of something that doesn't need to be approved?
Yes.
All right.
Pretty much, yes. Like I said, I would have just referred to Ms. Klein for them to, she could have approved it for them because it's not requiring anything of the township really, but since we're having the meeting tonight, I just got it Saturday from them, so we couldn't get it in the packet or anything. Give them a little commercial input on the event, so people could be a little advertisement for it. And
Just to not go out of process, can we just not take any action and just let Ms. Klein take care of it? 'Cause
I think we should.
We
I
could
think
do
if we
that.
think if we take board action, it sets a precedent that
That's right.
we've already tried to get rid of multiple times.
so I'll make a motion that we have Ms. Klein get in contact and approve the 4th of July picnic with the Rotary and the Lions.
we don't need a motion.
You don't need,
We just
Okay.
recommend that Ms. Klein.
I'll recommend that we do
Recommend
that.
that Ms. Klein take care of this
Okay,
on behalf of the township.
and you can do that. Okay.
That was easy.
And the Utility Ordinance Subcommittee. We need to
Yes,
have another
as you
member.
have moved up to supervisor, so you now have an automatic seat on that committee. We need to fill a Board of Trustee seat in your absence, because in the past it was Ann, you and I and Tammy, and then I chair the committee, but we need someone on this board to stand up and say yes, and I will support the utility subcommittee, of which we're going to have monthly meetings starting Mondays before the next meeting. So I'm going to ask Ms. Klein to set the next one up for the 26th, correct? Yes.
Is there a reason that it needs to be on that specific date every month?
Because I'm in town on those Mondays.
Okay.
I know I'm going to be here 98% of the time.
Okay.
So that's my thought process on it.
So, who would like to volunteer to fill that position, the trustee position on that committee?
It's utilities.
Boy, don't all speak up at once.
What time is it going to be at?
I think we can work that out, but I know Bill, Tammy, Josh, and Jamie have a finance meeting every Monday, so we'll have to work around that.
What time's your finance meeting?
10.
AM? Oh, was hoping for like 5:30.
You can push
1
them for
o'clock?
11 noon.
1 o'clock?
We could make it work.
Does 1 o'clock work?
Is that a resounding yes, Jeremy?
I mean, I'll put my name on there, and I'll help out as often as I can, but Monday in the middle of the day, I'll do the best I can. If it comes to a point where I can't make it often enough and we need to revisit the issue, okay. Unless Mr. Taser wants to do it.
I'll do it. I'm getting myself spread a little thin, but
If you
Yeah.
do it on a day besides Monday, I could do it.
I'll do it.
Do you want to set up an alternate?
Hey, we can do that.
Jeremy, you know.
I'll be the alternate, you betcha.
There you go. I like that idea.
My Mondays are already shot in.
Might as well.
So I'll make a motion to approve Mr. Taser to the Utilities Ordinance Committee with Mr. Spencer serving as an alternate.
Support?
Motion by Mr. Palmer, support by Mr. Wisterbarth. Roll call, please.
Palmer, Worcester, right? Okay. Mr. Spencer?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings?
Yes.
Mr. Taser?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton, yes. Mr. Worcester?
Yes.
Ms. McGuire?
Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, motion passed. And we will get our utility committee together, and we've got a number of things to talk about.
Yes, we do. And I will work with Ms. Klein to get a time that works for everyone.
Yes. Okay, our next item is public comment. You have 4 minutes to speak. And as I've said before, we don't answer questions during public comment. But we'll start over here. Yes.
Hi, Brenda Godfrey, Oscoda. Looking at the We Are Oscoda webpage, Josh, I understand you are the administrator of that page, correct? Okay. Is this page being ran as part of the township, or is it something you put together on your own? I see there is a lot of censoring and blocking on this page, which leads me to ask why. Censoring who and what is being said about the township and only allowing what you want to be told is really not an accurate view of the township now, is it? Especially if it is being ran through the township. If it is something you are running on your own, Josh, why are you using your 8 to 5 clerk hours on it? Maybe you should concentrate on your clerk duties instead, and then we wouldn't be paying out late fees. Again, $826.96, as Mr. Kubik pointed out. And we wouldn't need a financial advisor at $125 an hour either. I find it very interesting, while we have an attorney investigating our current superintendent for her toxic work ethics, we are adding to her contract and setting her up for a hefty payout upon termination for non-clause. Nothing should have been added to her contract while this investigation is going on. How suspicious does this look? Under her new contract, and depending on how and why she is let go, she could get anywhere from $42,500 to $63,750. And nobody has a problem with this? Taxpayers should be very concerned about this. Our last superintendent received 2 months' pay, the EAIC director received 3 months' pay, and now we have Ms. Klein set up for 6 months' pay. $42,500. I find this totally outrageous, and I agree with Mr. Kubik. Sure does look like a lot of hush money. At the last meeting, it was said that the labor attorney made this request and sent it on to the township attorney. Would this be the same labor attorney you hired to investigate the toxic work environment caused by Ms. Klein? The attorney you referred to as entirely outside the township, a totally neutral investigation, and he's not being influenced by the board? I find it extremely suspicious that the labor attorney would request to add such a cushiony severance package to a superintendent who has a toxic work complaint against her, and especially coming from the attorney investigating her. Very alarming. Last time Mr. Palmer spoke on this investigation, you said it was being wrapped up. Is it wrapped up? Miss Morgan has not heard anything, and she is the one who filed the complaint 6 months ago. Where are the results? For the last 6 months, I have been coming to these meetings, and I have asked this question before, and I'm going to ask it again. Why do we have police security? You have the same two superintendent's favorites at almost every meeting, which leads me to wonder, if it wasn't those same two, would we still have security? What an easy way to make an extra $38,000 a year per officer. That's $40 an hour for overtime, $76,000 spent on 2 officers per year. I've watched, I've seen. Every meeting is the same. They stand back there together, chatting, looking at their phones the whole time. What kind of security is that? What other townships have police at their meetings? Not Tawas, not Asabo. You brought in security purposely when you had an individual speaking loudly.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side? Yes.
Oscoda. Back in February, I asked this board and Ms. Klein if you guys could let me know when I was terminated from the Oscoda Township Fire Department. At that time, Supervisor Ann Richards stated that you guys would look into it and get back with me. I've patiently waited 12 weeks, and I've not got a response back from this board. I've came here for the last 5 months and spoke, and I've not got any response. I'm just looking for closure to know when that occurred. If you guys could provide that to me like you said you would. Is it that difficult to provide me a date of when I was terminated from the fire department? I have an agenda request, Mr. Sutton, if you could pay attention to this. On October 10th, 2022, in the meeting, under new patrol officer hire request, Tammy Klein stated at the 2-hour and 52-minute mark that there was a letter submitted by Chief David to hire Kyle Berkmeyer with a start date of October 18th. Now, Supervisor Ann Richards said, quote, "We keep snabbing people from Alcona County. Are they not hiring right now?" And Ms. Klein said, quote, "He's the only application we received," end quote. That's what she said to this board. Now, I did a FOIA request to Oscoda Township on March 17th of this year, requesting the names and the number of applicants that applied for the position on October 10th that Ms. Klein was talking about. And the response that I received back was 2. So why did Ms. Tammy Klein lie to this board and all the citizens of Oscoda Township when she told you that Mr. Berkmeyer was the only person that applied? If you could add that to as an agenda request, I'd like to get a response back for that. Now, I wasn't the other person that applied, so it wasn't me, but somebody else clearly applied because the response that I received back from Mr. Sutton under a FOIA request was that 2 people did. So I just want to know why Ms. Klein engaged in dishonesty with the township. Now, you guys keep saying that you guys need to hire a financial director. And I did a FOIA request to the township regarding all the applications and resumes that were received when you guys were hiring a superintendent. And the people that applied for the position are actually amazing. I was wondering if you guys actually took the time to even look at any of the names or applicants that actually applied for that position back in June. And why in June and July, nothing was ever done or nobody was ever interviewed. There's Susan Montenegro, that was a municipal leader with over 17 years of public service management and 8 years in city management. Jason Smith was a mayor, an IT support person, a radio host, and a DDA executive director. There was Martin Shanahan Jr., who was an attorney with over 20 years experience, an interim city manager for 2 years, and a city ambassador. There was also Joseph Erickson. He had over 30 years of city, county, village management, and spent multiple years as a director of administration and finance. Now, there was also Wayne Maybaugh. He worked for the state of Michigan as the assistant administrator, the state of Michigan as a budget specialist, the state of Michigan as a business manager, the state of Michigan as a fiscal specialist, State of Michigan is a contract administrator. He was a city manager. He worked for the Department of Defense as a budget analyst, and he had over 30 years of finance and administration management. And this guy didn't even get an interview. That guy is amazing. But instead, we had Miss Tamara Klein. She didn't graduate high school. She did receive a GED. I'll give her credit for that. She had no college. She was a secretary for the township. She did not meet any of the qualifications that you guys requested of the future superintendent. She did fill in for a few months between the superintendents, though. But I think your poor decisions and lack of interviews is a direct result of what we have going on now with the problems in the township. And why was Tammy Klein chosen? Because you needed someone to make me disappear?
Fine.
Center, here, yes. Right here? Yes, yes.
Galen Brainowell, I'm Oscoda resident, also the director for the Oscoda Sable Chamber of Commerce. And I want to thank the township for your big support for our Bigfoot pre-bash that we had on June 3rd right here in this facility. And thank you for letting us put up those wooden painted Bigfoot signs. They were a big attraction. So thanks for your support. And I also want to thank the Shoreline Theater. They did such a fabulous job. It was just flawless. In fact, the speakers that were here said this was the best event they've ever been to, the way it was organized and run. So I want to thank them for that as well. I also want to thank you for your support letter for the grant proposal that we did submit with Develop by Osco for the upgrade of the electric at the beach park. It was turned down, but it was, I appreciate your support. Who knows, maybe we'll try again next year or come up with another option for doing that. Also want to mention Art on the Beach is our 39th year. We're going to have it at the beach park on Saturday, June 24th from 9 to 5, and Sunday, the 25th from 10 to 4. Right now we have about 75 artists and crafters, which is up from last year, so it's very exciting. We've got 3 good food vendors, so it should be a great event. And then also the 4th of July parade, which we're really fortunate this year because the 40 and 8 Voltaire 669 from the American Legion, they gave us the chamber, they funded us by paying for our liability insurance and the road closure permit. So we're gonna, the parade is free for registration and it's going well, and we're hoping to have a lot of decorated vehicles. And also just to remind people that you don't want to throw candy or anything from the floats. We want it to be a great event, and so they can still sign up at the chamber, or we can send them an email. So again, thank you again for your support.
Thank you. Anyone else here in the center? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Rebecca Sherrick. I am a 29-year Oscoda resident. First of all, I'm just coming to talk in front of the board, not to place blame in front of the board. I'm kind of on an information-seeking mission right at the moment. But I wanted to express to this entity how devastated that I am about how the Veterans Banner, I'm going to call it the banner blunder, happened here recently with the memorial banners. I am the proud mother of a U.S. Army veteran who served 4 years in the Army and a year in Iraq. And I also purchased 2 banners, neither of which made it to be posted as promised in the streets of Oscoda. They were supposed to be a present for my mother, who is 89 years old. Both of these veterans that I purchased were both killed in the Korean War, one of which, my uncle, was killed while saving a wounded soldier. That shouldn't happen in a military town. Not sure exactly what happened. Like I said, I'm in the information stages of gathering information right now. It's kind of my understanding that maybe too many banners were sold and not enough brackets were procured. Maybe before the whole thing took flight, we should have counted and known exactly how many brackets that could be provided, and a finite set of banners should have been limited, and maybe had a waiting list for any additional banners in the event that the township, I'm saying this because I don't know who is exactly responsible, could procure additional banners. It's pretty sad when my family, myself, were looking for these banners, and when I got back into town, I drove the streets of Oscoda with my granddaughter, looking even before I got home, looking for my uncle and for the other gentleman who I was trying to honor, and they were not there. So I'm probably going to be shooting some people some emails, and if somebody could possibly get with me, we'd like to try to stop this from happening again, and maybe have some kind of resolve for I don't know how many banners are actually sitting someplace. I was told maybe more than half didn't get posted. Shouldn't happen in a military town, real sad. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry that we messed up on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Nancy Roy. I do want to say that Saturday's Touch a Truck event was fabulous. The turnout was beyond expectations, and I'd like to see that every weekend at Furtaw Field in the future. Summer months are our gravy months for all of our small businesses, and it would be so much better for our community if we had events scheduled every weekend and utilize that space for what it's there for. I think it would be a great idea if we had an events coordinator hired by the community, or by the township. That works. Okay, now I'm going to get on to something that you're probably, you should all be aware of because I sent you letters. As of today, June 12th, I have not received any responses from the letter that I sent to all the board members and Ms. Klein on June 2nd, with the lone exception of Ms. McGuire. A full 10 days have passed, and not one of you has responded with a call or a letter regarding Ms. Touton's famous wit on social media. I was the object of her famous wit. I find that our ethics and social media ordinance doesn't seem to exist. I sent a letter, no one responds, and I am a member of this community. I find it amazing that you lack the communication skills needed when a resident is treated as such. I'd be happy to read it to you, but I know you all have seen it. There it is, 1 second here. Well, I apologize, I just had it here. I got time, 1 second, please. June 2nd, right there. Asabo Nancy, do not malign Jessica and Kristen. What the HELL is wrong with you? You do nothing but the keyboard, and you have never in your life done anything like what our fierce and wonderful women are doing for this town. Please sit down and shut TF up. I've never been disrespectful to this woman, and she has ridiculed me more than once on social media. Now, if you don't have an ethics and social media ordinance, then maybe we need to get one that really works. But in the meantime, she is a representative
of the township. She sits on committees. I don't think I should be insulted or ridiculed publicly for expressing my opinion. And just so you know, Ms. McGuire knows I've been very active in the 33 years that I've lived here. I'm one of the original members who started AYSO, and I volunteered for them over 15 years. I was on PTO, I was involved with the, I forgot the name of the committee, but it was to help with the curriculum. And I'm just embarrassed, extremely embarrassed by your lack of response.
Ms. Roy, I have no email from you on June 7th.
I sent it to you.
Thank you.
I haven't sent it to you yet.
Be glad, because it's not here.
Okay. And I appreciate your response.
Anyone else from the center here? On the right? Anybody else? Okay, next board comment. Mr. Westerbarth.
I just want to add to that, my wife and I went out to touch a truck a few times this weekend. Actually, she volunteered to be arrested, save those pictures for future use. But I have to say, I went by Fertile Field, we went in the mid-afternoon. We went by Fertile Field in the evening when they were doing setup, and then throughout the day. And I lived on Evergreen for 20 years as a seasonal home, but I've never seen that amount of people on that field for that amount of time. It was constant. There were lines when we got there at 2:30. There were lines every time I went by from 7:45 through, again, 2:30, probably 3 or 4 times that day. So I've had some recommendations from people couple of people in the audience here that we as a board should recognize Ms. Bravata and her efforts.
I agree.
She's just done a fabulous job. She's trying to put on a few things all on her own, really with no support, and just the coordination and the money that they raised for the Thin Blue Line. I think it was over $13,000 at last check, and I got the email this morning. I think we should recognize her with a resolution or a certificate and a gracious gratitude of thanks from this board. Because she did a great job. That's all I have to say. I was delightfully surprised. It was nice to see all the little kids and the young families out there.
Yes. Mr. Taser?
Me? Oh. Yeah, I have to say too, I'm very pleased seeing all the activity this weekend happening in our community. Jessica Bravata did an excellent job, her staff. It was a great event. Also, the McDonald family had a display going on about the Potty Hill project over there. They had music playing, and that was very good to see that. I also want to say that coming up this week starts bike night, and Thursday night on Dwight Street. So the motorcycle enthusiasts, come on out and see all the motorcycles. Next Saturday will be the Punk in the Park from 2 to 8. There's going to be bands playing there, and the skate park is going to get used for a demonstration from a team coming out of Bay City, which should be really exciting for that. That's from 2 to 8. The Wordsmith Air Museum is having the 524th Bomb Squad reunion this weekend also. So that museum is open Friday through Sunday from, I believe it's 11 to 3 or 4. If you haven't been there, please come on out. It's an excellent museum out there, and they get a lot of people coming out to that from around the country, actually, and it's a beautiful museum there. The Sunday market starts up again at the beach park from 10 to 4 this Sunday. And what else is going on? Oh yeah, on June 23rd, there is going to be, it's a Friday, on Dwight Street. It's going to be the Miss US 23 pinup at 5 p.m. during Nostalgia Night on Dwight Street. That's a new event that's coming out. That's going to be exciting also. So there's Thursday and Friday going on for Bike Night, and then followed by Nostalgia Night. I think the upgrades on the Township Hall look fabulous. I think it was it was way overdue for one thing, and it really does look good. And I would also like to say that contrary to what is being said about Ms. Klein tonight, I believe she's doing an excellent job. Being new on this position, I do appreciate the help that she helps me immensely on these things, as do, I've been talking with Ms. McGuire about several things. Mr. Woosterbarth has sent me a lot of information, and this is very helpful for somebody coming into a position like this. And I do appreciate Ms. Klein's time that she spends with me going over these issues, because unlike most of the things on this board, I didn't have information that other board members have had coming in, and it sometimes can be quite difficult. And I appreciate that help. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McGuire?
Sure, just a couple things. First, I want to explain my no vote tonight for Mr. O'Connor. Nothing against you personally. I felt like one of the other candidates with his history on the planning commission and the history in Oscoda would have been beneficial to the township. The other thing I just wanted to say is that congratulations to Jessica Bravata and all the volunteers. I went by early in the morning because I was out of town this weekend, and it was already packed. It was like 9 o'clock, 9 or 10 o'clock, and that place was busy. So it was jumping. Actually, it was 11 o'clock when I went by because I got a late start. But yeah, the line was all the way out and around down the sidewalk, and people everywhere.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Cummings?
All right, sure. Yes, I too want to congratulate Mrs. Bravata. As a point here, she just got married the weekend before. So to think that she pulled off a wedding and then this major event is astounding. I was out of town this last weekend, and I called and spoke to her last Wednesday and wished her the best of luck and congratulations on her wedding. And I was shocked as to how completely in control she was with everything that was on her plate. I mean, just truly a professional, extremely competent, fantastic. And yeah, I think the event turned out to be fantastic. Unfortunately, I arrived back in town just at the very, very tail end of it. They were starting to take things down, so I didn't get to see all the lineup of people. But yeah, I heard it was so well attended, and I'm so glad for Oscoda that we had that event. I echo the sentiment that we should have one like this every weekend, but I think Jessica would, run herself ragged. Anyway, but I'm really glad we had it. And that was it. Thank you. Over to you.
Mr. Spencer?
I just have a quick question. If I recall, a couple of years ago, we voted to allow a road commission to come in and paint some crosswalks through town. And they were going to provide all of the painting and the labor for all of those things free of charge as long as we maintained them. And driving through town recently, and it could have been done yesterday and I didn't notice, but driving through town, I'm noticing major chips on those crosswalks. It's the beginning of summer. I'd like to see them maintained. Just as just making a note of it right now, so that if it can be done without board action, it gets done, and if not, well, then I'll complain again later. Other than that, though, it's good to see Babe the Blue Ox coming, and sure that Babe will have a spot near and dear to our hearts, as well as on Fertile Field.
Yes. Mr. Sutton?
I would just like to say thank you to Mrs. Bravata and Miss Ritage and all of the people in our community who are doing amazing things. Last year, especially after COVID, everybody's back out. Everybody's doing stuff. Our town is coming back to life, and we appreciate all that everybody involved has done. There are many more that I can't even list who have already hit the ground running as soon as our snow melted this year, and I'm looking forward to a great rest of this year, and I'm kind of looking forward to what you guys are going to have in store for next year, because every year it gets a little better, and we get even more impressed at what's coming out in our own community here and getting done. So thank you.
Yes, and I would just like to add to thank Ms. Bravata for putting an event on like that. These events and I hope everybody enjoyed their summer this year, because based on the weather today, it seems like it's been short-lived. But hopefully we'll get on with summer and have many more of these kind of events going forward. Now, Mr. Taser didn't say anything, but this is he sort of started a trend with the Rock Fest that he started a number of years ago on Furtaw Field. And I know the amount of work and time that he put into that to make that happen, and the people that worked with him, Mr. Wisterbarth, Ms. Klein, a lot of others. It's these kinds of events that draw people to our community, and it's a good thing. So we, in conjunction with our Chamber of Commerce, they do a lot of, she mentioned the parades and the things, the Bigfoot thing that's going to be going on all summer long. There'll be more events involved with that, as she's explained to me. And so we look forward to all of those events. I would like to apologize on behalf of the township for your banners not getting up. I'm not going to make excuses. There were some problems with the brackets, and we just weren't able to, and I'm very sorry. We should have been able to get those up. I just hope we can do better in the future in that regard. Other than that, I hope summer comes back here soon and we can start enjoying it. So thanks everyone for coming out, and have a good rest of the week.
Thank you. Yep.
We are adjourned.
So are those banners, the rest of the banners gonna get put up or no?
I don't know, are they putting?
We're